welcome back to another episode of Accountant's Lounge. Assuming you've watched other episodes, of course. If this is your first, welcome to Accountant's Lounge. We are your host, Dawn Patton, and this is Ashley Ford. We're two accountants growing our own virtual, remote, modern day accounting firms and taking you behind the scenes of what that looks like. Today, Ashley and I really wanted to chat about our hiring process. And so we separately took notes of what our hiring process looks like, and we came together to compare notes and realized we have the exact same hiring process. So I think that's a sign that it's a good thing. But Ashley, will you share the 5-step hiring process that we have?
Yeah, I think that's just proof that it works. At least it works for us. So Dawn and I both have a 5-step hiring process, and we're going to walk you through step by step. So step one is creating the job posting and writing the job posting. This is where you're really going to get clear on what it is that you're hiring for, what they're going to do within the role in your business, and equally as important, what type of culture fit you're looking for. Like, what type of person is this? What is their experience going to be working for you? And what type of person are you looking to really join your team? So we want to write the job posting and get super clear on that. As with every step of this hiring process, Dawn and I are actually going to record separate episodes, really digging deep in like how we write the job posting. That way we can dive into the details. But in
We'll
general,
link it all for you below though, so it's going to be easy to access, easy to find. We're just giving you an overview today of what this hiring process is. And then as you hear things and you realize, "Oh, I need to hear a little bit more about that. What do you mean by that?" Go click the links below.
yeah, because if you're like me, you need a step-by-step process. We can just mark them off, check them off as we go. Okay, so you've written the
Same.
job posting. The next step is going to be to source candidates. So this is to figure out where you want to find your candidates from, and you're going to actually start sourcing candidates. Find people who are a good fit, who meet the qualifications that you're looking for, and really narrow down the number of applicants that you have, the candidates that you have. We want to get that down to a manageable size of candidates that you have. So step three, once you have that manageable size of candidates, once you feel like you've really narrowed it down to people who are qualified, Dawn and I both do this, and we request a video from those candidates. So we ask them to send us a video. We give them a few questions to answer, a few things to talk about in that video. And then we ask them to send us a video of them talking through those questions or those topics that we've offered. This is going to narrow down that pool of candidates that you have pretty quick in two ways. And again, we're going to dive into this later, but some people aren't going to send the video, and some people you're going to know pretty quick just aren't a great fit. So we want to keep narrowing it down. The
Some
goal is
people
to
are
not
going to
do.
send the video 5 times and have a really hard time with it. And you're going to be like, "You don't know tech. Okay, I'm not interested."
Exactly. It has so many benefits of how you're going to narrow it down. And
Yeah.
really, the goal is so that when we get to step 4, which is scheduling
Mhm.
interviews, you aren't spending weeks on end and just hours and hours of your time interviewing people who might not
Yeah.
be a good fit, that you could have saved both of your times and weeded them out earlier in the process.
Yep.
So we're just trying to narrow it down so that the goal is maybe you're just interviewing a handful of people. That would
Yeah.
be ideal. You've narrowed it down. We're interviewing a handful of people. You can even keep those interviews relatively short.
Mhm.
You're getting a vibe check. That's the point of the interview. You know they're qualified.
That's the
They've
point of
done.
the video. Yeah. And the video is the vibe check. So you have the job description, they've applied, you can see what they look like on paper. Now there's a video, you do a vibe check. So if you like the paper and the vibe check, now we're interviewing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We want to get into a little bit more of the details and get to know them on that interview.
Mhm.
But again, once we get to step 4, we're hoping that we're not having to have conversations with a ton of people.
Yeah. Yep.
And then step 5 is you're going to send the offer.
Yeah.
So throughout
And
this
well,
process, as we narrow
sorry,
down.
interrupting. Step 4.5, because I think both you and I had this on here, is maybe schedule a second interview. Having that video interview oftentimes cuts back on the questions that you need to ask during that first actual interview that you have, though. So a lot of times between the video and the first interview, you don't necessarily need a second interview, but sometimes you do. So then there's that maybe. It's like step 4.5. Maybe there's a second interview. Then
Yeah.
step
And
5.
Dawn and I both do this in different ways, but you might want to, if you do the first interview by yourself, you might want to bring someone else on your team into that second interview. It's good
Yeah.
for the candidate, it's good for your team. They can sort of be a second set of eyes on if they think they're going to be a good candidate, see how they're going to fit, see if they're going to gel, how the conversation goes. So it just gives you a chance to dig a little deeper, get some things answered you might have forgotten on that first interview.
Yeah.
And then from there, we want to send the offer. That's the final step. We're crossing our fingers and hoping that they're accepting. So really, you can see that through each of these steps, we're narrowing down the candidates.
Mhm.
In my experience in the accounting and the bookkeeping space and in the tax space, if you post in the right places and share in the right places and are clear in your job description, you're hopefully going to get a lot of people apply. You're hopefully going to get a
Yeah.
lot of potential candidates. And it can be really overwhelming stepping into that hiring process, feeling like, how am I going to find the time to interview 100 people? It is impossible.
My last job offer or job that we just posted, this was like 2 weeks ago, okay, really recent. We got 380 applicants.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
that's wild.
Yeah.
It's amazing, right? It is amazing that we have
Awesome.
businesses that are in such an incredible industry that people want to come work in. And I think a big part of it is that we offer remote jobs.
Mhm.
So if you're in a virtual accounting firm as well and you offer remote work, you're going to get a lot of people applying because they see that remote work and they get excited about it.
Even
And that's,
hybrid, if you can make it
yeah,
hybrid, like yeah, maybe you want people in person sometimes for either team meetings or client meetings or just like your systems and processes. But if there's some aspect of a work from home,
yeah,
that's what
people are
people
hitting
want these
apply.
days. Yeah. Mm.
So we've got to this 5-step process is how Dawn and I have both figured out how to just narrow down the number of candidates. And again, it's great for you. You're saving time. It's also saving the candidates time. If they are really needing a job, don't send them through an entire interview process if you could weed out pretty early on that they're not going to be a good fit for your business for one reason or another.
Yep. I feel like it makes it so much easier to tell someone that you're not interested the earlier you can weed them out too.
Yeah.
So don't don't drag them along if there's no need to be dragged along.
Yeah. Yeah. And you'll hear Dawn and I talk a lot about when we have any of these conversations about hiring that you don't want to make impulse decisions. You want to make sure that you are vetting out everyone that you can and making sure that you are really picking the right fit. But also, if you are ready to hire somebody, you don't want to spend 4 months just on the interview process because you're interviewing candidate after candidate after candidate after candidate. So
Mhm.
while we don't want to jump into a new hire quicker than we need to, we do want the process to move as quickly as we can make it move while being really strategic about it.
Yeah, I mean, if it were to drag on for like 4 months, I just feel like that's doing yourself a disservice because I mean, for multiple reasons, but your business has momentum, like bring someone on beforehand, help them with clients, all that, yada yada. For me, that's such a drag because then you start to lose your momentum with hiring. You start to confuse candidates. You talked to someone a month ago and you're like, I think I liked him. And I can't even remember what I liked about him because of the 30-minute conversation that I had a month ago. Like it just starts getting heavy. People start getting buried. You start getting confused. There's too many options. And as business owners, we know that prospective clients come to us. If we just throw up on them with 1.5 million options, not going to sign with us. We
Yeah.
just gave them option overwhelm. Well, you can do that same thing with the hiring process if you're not careful. You can give yourself option overwhelm. And
Yeah.
so get so specific on what you want, get nitpicky, weed the people out, and you'll find great, wonderful fits, hopefully. But Ashley and I are going to dive more into each of these things, our 5-step hiring processes and other episodes. As we said, check out the links below where we're going to link these videos. Ashley, do you have anything else to say on this 5-step hiring process?
No, I think this was great. I think you and I can dive into like the really nitty-gritty details on each step in other videos. I think that'll be really beneficial. So you guys check those out and write this down on your to-do list so that you can just check it off as you go when you're ready to hire.
Totally. Well, thanks for joining us on another episode of Accountants Lounge, where we're taking you behind the scenes of growing our accounting firms. Be sure to check out other episodes if you haven't done so already, and join our Facebook group because that's where we keep these convos going and alive. Plus, like and subscribe to the channel for more episodes. We'll see you next time.